Getting your first roommate in college, for example, can be intimidating, as any life change can be. But getting a new cabin mate on a cruise ship is particularly so. Sharing your limited personal space with a complete stranger is not something common, after all one night stands accepted, I guess. But when that stranger is invariably from another nation, indeed probably from another hemisphere entirely, of a different color and different religion, speaking a different language, you just don't know what to expect. When approaching my first cabin as crew when I was a waiter on Carnival Fantasy, I thought I was prepared for anything. This was an embarrassing failure of imagination. B-deck cabins were about 20 feet below the waterline. The corridors were taller than on the newer ships, but equally narrow. Poor lighting emphasized the lack of freshness and cast everything in a dismal, back alley vibe. Thick veins of exposed pipes added to the feeling. None were steaming, but they throbbed. The entire scene could have been a set for the climactic showdown of a bad action movie. My cabin door was horrendously scratched, dented even as if somehow utilized in a brutal dogfight. Adding to that impression were the sounds coming through the door. The sharp crack of hand-to-hand combat and cries of pain. For a crew cabin, the chamber was surprisingly roomy. This was due to the lack of a sink and a shower to be shared with the neighboring cabin. Such was common on newer ships, but on Fantasy such necessaries were down the hall and horrendously filthy, but that's neither here nor there. Inside were 2 narrow bunks and 2 wooden lockers, smudged with age and flaking laminate. A small desk was completely covered by a 13-inch television, the space beneath stuffed with a dorm-sized refrigerator. A single chair hosted a Nintendo. The air was stiflingly hot and stagnant, the vent being hidden behind a securely taped plastic bag that intentionally cut off airflow. Access to the bunks was blocked by the man who dwelled here, my new roommate. His tiny body lay diagonally across the cabin, as to fill it, legs splayed wide open, each foot propped atop its own case of dried noodles. His rear sat deep into a smashed third box, and his head rested on the feet of a huge teddy bear that occupied the lower bunk. The controls of his gaming console sat comfortably on his lap. Though the Nintendo was hooked up to the TV and the controller in his hands, the screen instead blasted a very loud, very obnoxious Asian martial arts movie. And he was completely naked. I had never met a man from Thailand before, certainly not one bare-ass naked and spread-eagled in front of me. Such things would become commonplace once I got used to ships, of course. Ben he called himself, because his real name was a whopping 18 letters long. Upon waking he immediately mentioned his girlfriend was going to sleep with him every night. How 2 humans and a 4-foot teddy bear could share a bunk so small was a marvel. My own head and feet both pressed against the walls, though I too had to snuggle with my luggage. But Ben and Amy were quiet and courteous. The only noise they ever made, in fact, was their incessant watching of what appeared to be the same martial arts film, over and over and over. "When are you going to get a new movie?" I finally asked, exasperated. "It's not the same movie," Ben replied. "It's a 40-part Chinese movie I bought in Malaysia. Dubbed in Korean for Amy, subtitled in Thai for me.